I have a mobile physical therapy practice where I go from home to home and treat people in their, in the comfort of their own space. And so in the time right now where most people are more wanting to stay home, that's actually convenient for them and to give them that comfort as well. So I'm very excited about, what I'm doing right now. I like to be able to provide healing for individuals and get them back to function. So this has been a passion of mine for many years. So I'm glad to see it come to fruition. You hurt your knee. The other person said that they were playing sports. Usually it's some type of incident or accident that leads to an injury. And it doesn't always have to be. Sometimes it could be those things that you do all the time. Like some people I see may always type and they end up with a wrist injury, things like that. So it doesn't always have to be like an accident. So don't think that it has to be something big. It can be very, very slight things that you don't even pay attention to most of the time. So basically what we do is when we get a patient, we get all their history and learn all about what happened, and we piece those pieces of the puzzle together to basically come up with a plan to get them either totally pain-free or totally back to function, or at least very close to that. Because as we know with the human body, it's not always going to be easy to, I guess, tell it what to do. It does what it wants to do. So we get them going as much as we can. So, okay. So basically with physical therapy, we'll do exercises a lot of times. We'll do hands-on techniques, and that could be things for the layperson or person who isn't in the field. They may think what we're doing is massage. That's a different field. That's massage therapy. So what we're doing is we are trying to manipulate the soft tissues of the body to try to get that tight muscle to loosen up. We're also trying to make sure joints move like they're supposed to, because sometimes joints get really stiff. Some of you all who are adults on this call, you may be experiencing some of that right now while you're at home working from home. You may be sitting for long periods of time and your back may hurt, your neck may hurt. So those are things that I'll see regularly as I go throughout my day-to-day, because people are not as aware of their posture. A lot of times they're sitting like this, real slumped and slouched. They're in front of the computer, they're on their phone. For my teenagers on the phone, they do this all the time. So they get the text thumb or whatever it's called. They get the text neck. So those are different things that you may not even pay much attention to that can begin to hurt and cause some dysfunction. And then what you do is you come to a physical therapist and they work on you to try to get you better. So we'll use our hands to soften up tight muscles. We'll use our hands to loosen up tight joints, but we also do exercise. Are any of the young people considering a career in the health field, not necessarily physical therapy, but any health career?
Does that include veterinarian?
It does. It does. It does. I have something I'm going to say about that in a minute. Anybody else? It's funny because you wouldn't think about physical therapists working with animals, right? However, there are some physical therapists that specialize in the treatment of animals, and they work alongside veterinarians to help them with whatever's going on with animals. Now, that is not my area of specialty, so I can't tell you a whole lot about it. But just so you know, if you ever thought you wanted to merge those two worlds, that's actually a possibility. So keep that in mind. Got a little spoiled. I work in the DC metropolitan area, so I see a lot of clinicians of color, just generally speaking. But even in my city that's very, heavily populated with a good amount of African Americans, there's still not a lot of us that look like us. And I think it's really important to have a diverse group of people who are able to provide treatment and care for our patients. As a patient, I've heard plenty of people say, oh, I really want to work with the Black therapist. And it's not because they are, racist or anything like that. It's just because they feel more comfortable sometimes, just because of the things that unfortunately have happened in society. So we want to give them the option to have someone that they feel comfortable with sharing their most intimate information with. Because as a physical therapist, we're touching people. We're also in close proximity to them. So we want to make sure that that patient is comfortable with whoever they are being treated by. Now, that's not to say that you can't get great gains from a therapist that doesn't look like you, but it does help sometimes when you know that the person can relate to your experience. So for instance, Miss Tieya was telling me about her twist out. I know what a twist out is because I'm Black and I twist my hair. a white therapist may not know that. Now they can learn, but you know that it's a little bit different when you know the culture. So I would just say, I would implore you guys to just be open to, considering physical therapy, because we need you. And there's a lot of patients out here that would love to see someone with your brown faces. So that is it for me. If you have any questions, I'm definitely willing to answer more questions. So yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Guys, if you do have more questions, you can go ahead and type them in the chat. But I want to say thank you so very much, definitely for your last bits of advice for them, because my current still kind of sort of background is public health. And
Okay.
I started off with Centers for Health Disparities, and cultural competency was a big thing for us. And so, guys, cultural competency is basically knowing your culture. So when you go and talk to them, for example, with my grandmother, you didn't sit on her good bedspread. A white physician may not know going into a Black home that that's considered disrespectful, right? Or like she said, having to take up my time at my doctor's appointment, and they already have limited amount of time per patient, to explain to this physician what a twist out is and what I was really doing to twist my hair and how I hurt my neck, so that she can effectively help me, is time that I would not have to take out if I was going to see Dr. Tieya. So having a physician of any sort, dentist, whomever, that is culturally competent and knows your culture, that's muy importante, and it will save you time. They'll be able to relate to you and more effectively help you. So that part stood out to me. There are so many other parts that you said that stood out to me. I'm also a big component of exposure and being able to make your dreams come true. So the analogy of being a physical therapist that works with animals, and them not having to choose one or the other, but make a career that fits who they are and what they like to do, was absolutely amazing. So with that, I just say thank you.
Can I say one more thing? You just made me think of something. I don't think I shared this, but I wanted to, just say to you all, I hope that you know that anything you put your mind to, you really, really, really can achieve it. And that's not just cliche. For myself, I grew up in the inner city of Washington, D.C., in an area known as Southeast D.C. or Anacostia, and that area is not the greatest. And I grew up with a single mom. So some people may think, oh, I can't do it because I only have one parent, or maybe because we don't have money. We didn't have money. I grew up poor. And so we had to make ends meet like a lot of other families in my neighborhood. There were different avenues I had to take to get a little bit more assistance by the time college was a reality, like getting scholarships and grants. Unfortunately, I did have to get student loans a little bit. So I implore you guys that if you can get free college, get free college. And the reason why I say this, I have some friends of mine who had this dream school. They wanted to go to a dream school. Don't let the dream school become a nightmare, because the student loan debt is real. So I would tell you, go where the money is free, that has the major you're looking for, and that is going to provide the best experience. You want to go to a really highly esteemed program. So not just where you think is a cool school to go to. And from that, like I said, after I was able to apply those different methods of finances, then I was able to get to the schooling part, but it wasn't without adversity. But even through different adverse experiences, I still was able to press through. It took about 7 years or so for me to finish school. That's a normal amount of time. Some people may take longer. Even if it takes you longer, keep going. Whatever that track is for you, don't ever give up. Okay. So know that no matter what life throws at you, even if it's a delay, that doesn't mean that that's the end. Okay. All right.
That is excellent advice. And the chat agrees. That is really, really good advice, because you never know when you see us at this age, or you see us by the time we quote unquote made it, you never know someone's background. So just like Dr. Tieya, single family home, student loan